For more on this, Mavuso Msimang, an ANC veteran, joins me from Johannesburg. A very good evening to you. It's always good to have you with us. I was just wondering, what did you think when you heard Jacob Zuma speaking there, when you heard Ace Magashule today? I mean, Zuma resolute in his innocence. How did it make you feel? What does it do to you when you look at what's happening there?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. His utterances, of course, indicate a consistent stance that he has taken since the beginning of this crisis many, many years ago, 10 years plus. And he maintains his innocence in spite of the fact that the Constitutional Court has, by a vast majority, well, unanimously really, for those who said, decided that he is in contempt of court and that he's therefore in breach of the Constitution. His continued insistence, I suppose, people will always state their own positions about what they think about allegations.
And then we had the court ruling today giving him a bit of breathing space. Do you think there is enough protection when it comes to the judiciary? It must be a pretty frightening place, I should imagine.
Well, I would like to think that they didn't make this decision of granting him the opportunity to bring his application for a rescission out of panic or anything. I think they've considered the situation, the consequences of doing it or not doing it, and decided that they should give him a chance. It doesn't really worry me. I think it's good. We have always maintained that we would listen to and respect the decisions of the Constitutional Court.
What do you think the consequences will be, however it plays out tomorrow, in the next week? What's the impact going to be on the ANC and the country? What are you hearing?
Well, the impact on the ANC is already being felt very sharply. The National Executive Committee had to postpone its meeting and go to and send senior people to Nkandla because there has been this militancy and there have been utterances that have where people indicate that they will not allow Jacob Zuma to be incarcerated and that they will defend him to their death. So it is worrying. These are kinds of utterances which are permitted as they may be in a democratic society where there is freedom of speech, do border very dangerously on incitement and the creation of instability. It is worrying like that. I think that now that the Constitutional Court has outlined the procedures going forward, we will wait and see them. The people file their applications as required. I'm not particularly worried. I'm concerned about the boisterousness and the clear intent to speak defiantly and disrespectfully of the justices. But I guess these are some of the things that we have to manage.
Tell me about leadership, the sort of leadership we're seeing at the moment. EFF marching to the SAPRA offices, hardly any masks. We see it at Nkandla now, mass gatherings, openly defiant against what government has said we have to do during this lockdown in order to save people's lives. What does it say about the sort of leadership we're seeing at the moment?
Well, leadership in the first instance on the subject that we're talking about in Nkandla, I think the crisis point that has been reached, because that's what it is, could have been avoided if the leadership of the ANC had moved quite early to stop certain things that create this kind of tension. You have a person called Carl House announcing himself as a spokesperson of an organization that the ANC has disbanded, and there is silence about warning him or taking action to stop him from doing that and so on. So there is this creation of impunity of just talking quite recklessly, to be honest with you. You mentioned the EFF march. It was really very disappointing that a march of so many people was allowed to go forward with all the risks to not just the maintenance of the law, but also to the health, safety of people, given the third wave that is now said to be the most transmissible of the variants, COVID variants that we've experienced. It is quite very, very concerning, I must say, particularly for the health of the people.
Yeah, I mean, I think many people are equally confused when it comes to Carl Niehaus and what sort of message that is. You know, I mean, other than the leadership, when it comes to politicians, what about what we're seeing when it comes to the policing of these events? Policing in so many areas. That's not going well, is it?
Well, policing in Tshwane, the EFF march, I don't really know. I didn't see them. There was no disorder, fortunately. But what was amazing was that so many people should be allowed together in the street with the risk that poses. At Nkandla, I don't know how they have decided to deal with this. But you know, when there are problems that have been stirring for a long period of time now, there ought to be a discreet but fairly visible presence that just gives an indication to whoever is planning mischief that it will not be allowed. One is not saying they must start dispersing people, but they should ensure that people don't take the liberty to break the law.
One rule for all. Mavuso Msimang, always good to talk to you. Thank you.